Mr. Dharmendra Kumar, whole-time director of Piccadily Agro, is joining us on the show. Mr. Kumar, good having you. Thanks for joining in. Just before we get down to the business conversation, did Piccadily Agro again get awarded for the best whiskey or something like that? Could you just fill us in on that?
Yes, there is really good news down there. We've kind of cemented our position. It all started with Indri Dru winning a lot of world awards. Then, Diwali did the cementing part. And then this year, we've been, honored with, again, the best whiskey in the world for Dru. So this is the third expression that has been awarded the best whiskey in the world. And we are very happy to say that.
So this is a recent development. And you said you've gotten an award for the whiskey which is branded as Dru.
This is Dru. This is a cask strength edition, which is predominantly overseas sales. And because India doesn't allow sales of whiskey above 50%, so this goes mostly to the export market. And this has been really appreciated world over in Europe and in America.
Okay. So just tell us, I mean, what does firstly, congratulations to you and the team, of course, that built this out.
Thank you so much.
Which is good news. Now, tell us, Mr. Kumar, what does this mean? Because when Indri won that best whiskey award, I remember a conversation with you or one of your colleagues talking about what this means in terms of demand, because the talks were that demand will go up for this whiskey. You may not have the adequate capacities right now, so you'll probably build capacities and hope for higher sales as times to come. Now that while that tailwind was behind you, you've also gotten this award. What does this mean for demand for those two as well as some of the other products from Piccadily Agro?
So what is happening, sir, right here is that demand is, of course, outstripping supply, but I think that is a smaller story for the company and for, I think, the country. We are at this threshold which Japanese whiskey was 15 years ago, where, they became really popular and still are very popular, and a big space in the world is attributed to them. Indian whiskeys never had a niche. You would go to a stall, there would be world whiskeys, and India would be part of the world where there are smaller people, and Indian whiskeys will be part of it. But going forward, I think every stall will have a Scotch whisky, a Japanese whisky, Irish, American, and an Indian whisky stall. And that, establishing that as, a benchmark is where I think where we've been successful. And that is going to help us immensely, and of course, the whole category per se.
Got it, Mr. Kumar. Harsh also joining in. I want to try and get in your view as to how this is going to contribute to numbers going ahead. So as you scale, as you build, what's the kind of trajectory that we can see both in numbers on revenue and margins?
So numbers, I think we are very bullish. We think we will do a 50% growth on revenue in the single malt space this year. The industry is growing at about 35%. I'm talking about the Indian single malt industry. That is growing at about 35% year on year. And we expect to grow slightly faster than that, owing to the growth that we've seen before this, at 50% year on year. And going forward today, for example, the Indian single malt space is about 400,000 cases. That's 4 lakh cases of Indian single malt. We already are 24% of that, 1/4. And of course, getting market share more than that, going to 30 will be tough, but the market is growing at 35%. So there will be a lot of pluses for everyone here. In the single malt space, when we say the world single malt, that is all Japanese, American, Scottish and Indian single malts put together, we already have a 12% market space. So we would want to increase our market space more in that space rather than just the Indian single malt space.
Okay, and sorry, please go ahead.
So, sorry to come in.
Sure.
If we see last year the numbers we achieved, so we were positioned at the 18th spot worldwide. So no Indian whiskey has ever been at number 18 in the single malt space in the world. And 5-year goal from here is to scale it up from number 18 to number within the top 5, and that is where we are aiming to go. And we feel really proud because the whiskey under us is Lafayette, and the one above us at number 17 is Lagavulin.
Understood. So point taken. I mean, as Indians, we should all feel proud about this because it's considerable progress in a space where we've lagged a little bit globally. But I also want to try and pick your mind on where, therefore, what's the kind of tailwind when you're suggesting a 50% growth on top line? What's the visibility like? Do you expect that to continue over the next 2 years, 3 years? And where should therefore margins go? Because your margins have risen sharply when I'm looking at the FY24 full year numbers versus FY23 full year. What's the sustainability of that, and where should it go from here given the premiumization you are targeting?
So before this, most of the numbers were coming from conventional IMFL brands, where the margins are typically 15% to 18, 20% maximum, and the sugar part of the that we were looking at here, and that was just 5%. Whereas when we come to the single malt space, our gross margins are upwards of 70%. So what happens there is then you, of course, the spends are more, you're investing more, but then you have so much more margin to employ capital into the market.
So therefore, what does it move to? I mean, does it stay at the levels? Precisely the question that Harsh was trying to ask. Would you improve upon what you did in FY24, because you nudged operating profit margins of what, 25%, if I'm not wrong, in March 2024 quarter. Do you think you sustain that?
No, we will this year will be a marginal increase of at least 5 to 6%, owing to newer brands like we spoke about Dru and the Game of Thrones series which has come in, which are priced at a higher price point than Indri, which was our main sale last year. So those will definitely give us better margins this year.
So sorry. So two questions now. March 24 about 20% for the year. FY24 20% margins. March 24 the quarter 25% margins. Are you saying you will grow over the March 24?
No, we'll grow over the whole year margin by about 5%.
So you probably balance it at about 25% for the year at large. And right. Similar thing, Mr. Kumar, to return ratios, because ROC showed a quantum jump in FY24 over FY23. Now that the business model is changing, do return ratios look that high, 30% numbers?
The return ratios on ROC might not jump so much in this quarter, in this year, because we are employing a lot of capital. We are right now doing 4 new projects as we speak. So the Indri project is going from 12,000 liters all the way to 30,000. The Indri ENA IMFL project is going from 90 to 250 KL. The Chhattisgarh plant is under implementation, which is a 210 KL plant with a 30 KL malt space there. So all these projects which are ongoing there will be a lot of capital employed here. So then of course, that it will take a year or 2 years for that ROC to come see the same numbers that we saw last year.
Got it. And sir, what would you attribute this to, this kind of sudden jump that we've seen in terms of performance? One is, of course, it's very difficult, please correct me if I'm wrong in my understanding, in the alcohol industry to build a brand, especially in the Indian alcohol industry. And you've done that, at least it seems, with significant gusto. Maybe that is one thing that's helping your numbers. Is it premiumization? Is that the other thing? I'm just wondering what is really aiding your numbers and why such strong numbers and such strong commentary?
I think, there are multiple factors like you mentioned, but number one is if your product is good. If you see, you don't have to look at alcohol as an industry. If you see any industry, anybody who's giving you a quality product consistently over the years, that product will shine. And we've made sure from day one, when we started the malt division in 2010, this is 2024, we are 14 years ago, and we've been employing capital in this space for all that period. We just broke through last year. But for those 12 years, we were giving in everything that we could, heart, sweat and money into it. And the objective is very clear that this is where we want to reach. And when you will reach, we did not know. And it happened last year. So the product has to shine, number one, because you can have a great marketing ploy, you can have a great packaging, the market could be right, but if the product does not deliver, then people will not come back to you. And alcohol is very personal. This is something you consume. So, it's not like something you bought for the house and put in a corner. So this is something you like, only then you will consume it. So I think product is the champion. The timing, India's story, where India, the premiumization in India, people are now wanting to know what they're having. They don't want to be blindsided. It's happening in all other FMCG products. They want to know what they are drinking. What is the quality of the product that they are having? They'll drink less, but they'll drink better. I think that's what's happening in India right now.
Mr. Kumar, one final word really, and which is, by the way, we should do a show out of one of your manufacturing facilities. It'll be really nice to see that.
That will be lovely.
But just one final question, and an extension to what Harsh asked you earlier. Assuming that it's a blue sky scenario, Mr. Kumar, and that the reception to the products that you're manufacturing is better than what you anticipate, what is the outlook that you're setting yourself up for? Because 50% in a year, slightly better growth in the next year is easy to figure out. Since this is a long game, almost every liquor manufacturer who's spoken to us in the last 15 years that I've spoken to them talk about the long game. What's the long game? How long? What can Piccadily Agro really be like, let's say, by the end of the decade?
I think that's what I started off with when I said we kind of cracked the top 20 and the 18th largest selling whiskey, single malt whiskey in the world. And the goal here was to be in the top 5. So all the people who are there in the top 5, or even where we are saying till the 20, they're all 100-year-old whiskey companies. It's not tech, so it's not going to go out of fashion. It's not going to change.
I'll rephrase my question, sir. I'll rephrase my question. Maybe one whiskey, maybe 2, maybe 3, and all of that is really great, reaches top 5, top 10. But from a business perspective, from an investor's perspective, it will always be about what's the size you can get and at what margins that you can do that business.
Yes. So this year is going to, I think you're going to see a few exciting things coming from the House of Piccadilly, different brands within the whiskey space and outside the whiskey space. There are lots of things in the making, and I think I can't let the cat out of the bag already, but before the year closes, you will have definitely a couple of more shining stars from the company. And Kamikara, again, we've dropped that already, which again should be a big driver, because as you see, a lot of rums have now started coming up. People are realizing that we, being a sugarcane growing country, don't make a good rum at all. And sugarcane rum is far superior. Just 10 seconds I'll take of yours. So rum is made from molasses or sugarcane juice. The French used to make brandy. So all the colonies that the French had used to make rum out of sugarcane juice because they did not understand how to make it out of molasses. So they made it as close to brandy as they could. So our rum is more akin to something which is like a brandy, and it's a finer product. And that's what the southern India drinks mostly. But today they're drinking something made out of ENA. That transition to actual brandy or rum made out of sugarcane juice is something we are very bullish about.
Okay. Well, Mr. Kumar, I look forward to talking to you in person.
And a distillery visit.
And a distillery visit and a studio visit maybe from your end too. But thank you so much for joining in today.
Thank you. Thank you, Neeraj, so much. Thank you so much.
That's Piccadily Agro. Optimistic. I was hoping for some sense about what the numbers. Before we take that break, did he give it a response to what beyond FY25 to your question?
No, he didn't. He suggested a 50% growth at least in FY25.
But nothing
beyond. But that
that
itself takes your top line to around 1,000 crore. And the market cap currently is sitting at roughly 7,000 crore. And therefore at a 25% margin, it's roughly trading at 30 times EBITDA. If that math is right, at least basis whatever he said.